Great day to each of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are once again with another Living the Liberated Life with Dr. KJ. And I'm so excited that you have decided to spend your Thursday evening with me. Many of you have been spending many Thursday evenings. We are over 1 year old, and we are so excited about that. Tonight is going to be a night that is rich and powerful. I have some wonderful guests with me. Our topic is going to be, not only will it be an emotional topic, but it will be a topic that has been talked about in our communities for several years, but it's been kind of on the hush hush. So let me begin tonight by sharing with you some of why I decided to touch on this topic. For several years, I have been a single, saved woman, and I've dated and I've met men. And as I've gotten older, I've met several men who were had great potential, great husband potential, but they were at the point in their lives where they had told me that they don't want any more children. And because I've had such a strong desire to have children for most of my life, I've been a minister to children, youth, and young adults. So I've worked with kids most of my career. And this was something that was troubling to me. So as I began to get older and older and older, I said, I'm disqualifying a lot of brothers because they don't want children and I want children. And so I want to know where I stand. What am I able to have children? Because unlike some of my friends and some other people I know, I have never been pregnant. A transparency moment. Never been pregnant, never had a miscarriage, never had an abortion or any of those things. And so for me, I was just like, well, what if I can't have children? The reality is I have not always been saved. And even as I've been saved, I haven't always not, done the do. And so, so I was wondering where I stood as far as fertility. So for my 45th birthday, 2 years ago, I decided, I saw an ad and they were talking about fertility. So I said, instead of disqualifying these brothers and instead of not knowing my status, I needed to find out. So I went and I had a test done. I went for the informational. I had a test done to find out how many follicles I had and all that good stuff. I learned so much in that one-on-one time with the doctor. And I was pleased to find out, I was told that a woman my age only has about 3 to 5 follicles and, all of that good stuff. And I was pleased to find out that I had a full 18 follicles. So I was excited. And but here we are 2 years later. I'm still not pregnant, still no children, and still not married. And so I began to look at some of the lives of some of my friends and the people in my circle, and I realized that it's not just a single woman that has had some trials, tribulations, some questions regarding this whole thing called fertility. There are also married couples who have struggled and had sleepless nights and just have not had the opportunity to give birth. They've struggled. They've gone through the in vitro. They've gone through all of the things that we're going to learn about tonight. And they were not able to give birth. And some have. Tonight we have a couple that they're going to tell their story. And then we have someone that's going to come and share with us some of the nitty gritty details that we need to know about fertility, about our age, how our age plays a role, but even more particularly in this day and age, and we're in the midst of COVID-19, so many of us want to know. I know I want to know, and I know some of my brothers and my sisters out there want to know, would the COVID vaccine impact our possibilities, the probabilities of us being able to give birth? Will that impact our level of fertility? These are things that we want to know tonight. And so without further ado, I am going to bring on my guests. I'm going to bring on a couple that is victorious in their journey, and they're going to share their story. They're going to share the ministry that's come out of it. They're going to share all of that good stuff. And then I'm going to bring my Brother Smalls to come out and share some more information. So let me just bring them all out at one time. So come on, Scott. Come on, Biggie.
you
hello,
doing? How you
hello.
doing?
Everybody.
How y'all
All
doing?
right. Good evening. Brother and Sister Scott, why don't you share with us, introduce yourselves to our audience and let us know a little bit about who you are and what brought you here today.
All right. Well, how y'all doing, family? My name is Joe Scott. I am a minister in training at St. Luke Cathedral. Um, in my vocational work, I run a radio show and media company called Rise Up Worldwide, and I'm also a financial professional. I own an insurance company called Rise Up Financial Agency.
Mhm.
And my name is Natalie Scott. I'm an ordained elder, and I have a ministry called Laughing Sarah, which ministers to couples and single women in regards to infertility and miscarriage, as we have experienced both. So through our experience, we have been able to share our testimony, and we have been married almost 8 years, May 23rd. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
God through our test, because we're going to get real transparent about the fertility struggle, because it ain't for the faint of heart, right, babe?
No,
Mhm.
not at all.
But we are just so honored just to be with you, Dr. Keisha Janelle Agard, and also to the amazing professional Brother Smalls on this evening.
All right. Thank you, Brother Smalls. You want to introduce yourself? I didn't want to get anything mixed up with your long,
No worries. No worries. Um, Sorry, I'm a little preoccupied. I'm finishing up two other meetings and getting onto this, guys, that, we can be a little long-winded and other things. But my name is Jay Kendall Smalls. I'm director of Global Fertility and Genetics in New York City, New York. I have an IVF clinic right in Midtown Manhattan. A little bit of my pedigree. I'm a clinical embryologist, meaning I actually do the procedures of IVF, ICSI. I am the first African American to achieve the degree of clinical embryologist from the University of Leeds in London, where IVF came from.
Mhm.
So my background in infertility is extensive. Um, I've been with some of the most major programs in New York City, and I'm happy to say to be one of the well-known, and believe it or not, one of the darker figures that's in this industry. Um, I look forward to a healthy and robust discussion, and I'm quite sure that if there's anything that cannot be answered right now, I'll definitely have one of my physicians reach out to your guest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so, so much.
Mhm.
So let us dive right on in. Let us hear the story of Brother Joe and Sister Natalie Scott. Excuse me, Elder and Minister Scott. Let's hear some of your story today. And then I'm sure that Brother Smalls will be able to jump right in, and then I'll be able to ask a few questions afterwards. So,
All right. So when we first got married, we did not want to have children immediately. We wanted to kind of travel the world, enjoy each other. And also, Joe was in school, so he did not want to, have children right away. So when we got married, I was 29, he was 31.
Yeah.
And, that's still roughly a good age to kind of,
Just
try to
enjoy being married.
and also for fertility. So I didn't want to. We both decided that we didn't want to have children right away. But during our 6 months of marriage, we went away on a trip, and I remember Joe saying to me, he's like, "You know what? I think I'm ready to be a dad." And I said, "Okay," because like my doctor just said to me that it's time for me to be off of birth control. And I said, so he's like, "Okay, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't." So first year, just enjoying each other, but nothing happens. Second year, nothing happens. But what happens is that I started having a regular cycle, and I didn't understand why. Because for the most part, my cycles were regular, and then my GYN decides to take a blood test. And when they took the blood test, there's a level called prolactin. And prolactin, and Brother Smalls, you can correct me, but with prolactin, it's a hormone for that's normally for nursing mothers to produce milk. So the normal range should be a 5 or under. So at that time, my range was about a 50. And that's pretty high. So that's why I was not getting my cycle. And that's why I was getting headaches. And, I was being sluggish and so forth. So I would took medication, and sometimes that medication doesn't make you feel good. So me being hard-headed, I didn't take the medication. So I went back to the doctor or my GYN, and he said, Natalie, at this point, I want you to see an endocrinologist. And I saw the endocrinologist. She was checking me, and she said, I think you also have PCOS. And I said, okay. So my levels with, testosterone and so forth was high. And I was also insulin resistant, which means that I was also pre-diabetic. And it didn't help that at that time, I was heavier than I was now. So, having prolactemia, signs of insulin resistance, that wasn't kind of working in my favor. But at this point, my husband graduates from college, and then we really kind of go full circle. So then when I went to my endocrinologist and my GYN, at that point, my GYN says, Natalie, I think it's time for you to see a reproductive endocrinologist. And at this point, I'm seeing an endocrinologist. So I didn't know that a reproductive endocrinologist is a fertility doctor. So I go to my appointment, and the receptionist says, so are you here for infertility? And at that point, I had a label. I basically had a label in regards to the situation that I was going through. And I literally kind of stopped in my tracks, because I was like, oh, okay. I had to face reality. So when I met with my reproductive endocrinologist, she said that, okay, I got your levels in regards to your prolactin. I want you to have an MRI. So she did all of the workup in regards to my prolactin. And at this point, my levels, because I wasn't taking medication, was now 100 or over 100. And when they took the MRI, at this point, I had a benign tumor, which is now called I can't think of it. It's basically a pituitary adenoma, which is a pituitary tumor, but it's benign. It's a slow growing tumor. So at this point, I have to take the medication, even if I don't feel right or feel good. In order for me to forget about being pregnant, but in order for me to feel good, to be healthy and so forth, I have to take care of myself. But so my doctor, once I started going through the initial workup, which is, having an HSG exam, which is checking your fallopian tubes to make sure that the dye goes through. And both of my tubes were blocked at that time. So I had another situation that kind of came up. So pituitary adenoma, insulin resistant, and also both of my tubes were blocked. So at this point, kind of hard, trying to get everything kind of situated. So they also saw some scarring in my uterus. So then I had to have a surgery to kind of clear all of that out. So, and then I went through all of the medication and, blood work. For anyone who has not been through infertility treatments, you take a lot of blood. Like just they need to know what your levels are. So fast forward, my prolactin levels ended up being normal. And, I had 2 surgeries to clear up scarring and so forth. And then I guess I was kind of ready to go. So because I was insulin resistant, I wasn't ovulating the way that I should. So I was on medication, and then they did a procedure called an IUI, which is insemination. So basically, they take like a catheter, and then they put everything through, and it like bypasses your uterus, so you're able to kind of go forward with the process. So we went through 6 IUIs, and at that point the doctor was like, I think it's time for you to go through IVF. And I said, okay. At this point I'm a little defeated, but okay, we're gonna do it. And when I signed all of the paperwork, the nurse said, everyone who signed the paperwork for IVF actually ended up being pregnant, like right when they were going to start the process. And I said, okay, we'll see. So I went through one more round of IUI. And at this point, I was at my 7th, and it was successful. And then I miscarried. And, at that point, I was just ready to go back. Like I didn't really process that, this in fact happened. I even really talked to my husband about it, because I was just like, we're just gonna go forward. And for women out there, you're not alone in this. You have to speak to your spouse about this. But I was so like focused on getting pregnant, focused on having a baby, that I never really mentioned what was going on. So, my body rested, and I was able to have one more IUI. And on the last days of December of 2017, it worked. And now we have a beautiful baby. So after 4 years of trying, after signing, the documents for IUI, after knowing I had a pituitary adenoma, and also men get checked as well, because it's not just like the women, sometimes you got to get healthy yourselves and so forth. But through the grace of God, we were able to have our miracle baby after all that I've been through and all that we've been through. So that's a little bit of our testimony. But yeah.
Wonderful.
That's that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Brother Joe, you are a part of this journey.
Yes.
We heard from Natalie some of how it's impacted her and what she was going through as a male. Were you tested? Were there any things that you had to go through?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The hardest part, being a husband of someone that's struggling with that, the hardest part is realizing that as a man, you can't fix it. Like most men, and I won't say all, but I'll say for me and most of my friends, men think in absolutes. If you have a problem, I'm going to give you an answer. If something's broken, I'm going to figure out how to fix it. In this situation, it's not something that you can just fix. So the thing that you really have to learn to do is just be there and be supportive, mm-hmm. right? And understand that, there's going to be times where your wife is going to be really emotional, some highs, some lows, some in-betweens, and you kind of in the middle of it, you don't know who you're going to get. And anytime that topic comes up, it's always a sore subject, like like obviously we're going to celebrate our friends and everybody that's doing it. But then when people start asking you questions, when you guys going to have kids?
Right.
When what are you waiting on? What are you doing? It's like, you don't really want to tell everybody what you're going through. So, you kind of just develop a blanket statement like, whenever God says,
right.
Because
that's one of the worst things. That's one of the worst questions. I know for me, that's one of the worst questions. When you gonna get married? When you gonna have a child? When you gonna, and so for those that are married, the minute you say I do, everybody wants to know, so when you gonna have a baby?
Yes.
Right?
It's almost like you barely make it down the aisle, and by the time you get to reception, it's like, all right, when's the baby coming? You
Right.
know, it's like they don't give you any opportunity to really process it. And then as a man, I didn't know that question was offensive, you know, because being on this side of it, I used to ask people all the time, so when's the baby coming? You know, it was never even a thought that infertility was a thing. As a man, you know, we don't think about that. We don't think about that at all. You know, most of us, you know, obviously Mr. Smalls is, you know, educated on it. But let's be honest, he's far and few in between when it comes to, you know, knowledge of this subject, right? So it was a big learning curve for me. That was one of the hardest things. Then the second part was that not only did she have her struggles, you know, I had my struggles. I found out that I had a low sperm count. You know, it wasn't like super low, but low enough to make it more difficult than the average person.
Right.
So on top of her struggles, then now I have mine. You know, and it's like, wow, you know, that was a big eye opener. And then you feel like it's your fault. You feel like, okay, if I had my stuff together, then, you know, she wouldn't be going through this. You know, you start feeling like it's your fault. Like if you had done things better, if you had lived a better lifestyle or what have you, you know, you start to feel guilty.
Right.
And then, you know, you start to blame yourself for things that really you don't have control over, because we want to be in control.
Right.
As humans, we want to be in control. So we don't know who to blame, because you really can't blame anybody. So we blame ourselves. It's my fault. I should have done this better. I should have lived a better lifestyle. I should be healthier. You know, you think of, you know, all of these things and you become depressed. You know, you go through a lot. And then, you know, I remember like going through these fertility treatments. You know, it's as the man going to the fertility treatments, it's not painful like it is for women, but it's really uncomfortable. It's really, really uncomfortable, you know, and I don't want to be graphic or anything like that, but like you have to produce in a cup in a facility where everyone's looking at you and they know why you're there, you know, and you feel like you're a science experiment. You know what I mean? Like you walk in there.
That was very tactfully done. Thank you. That was well stated.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I've had to think about this, like, because you can't. How do you explain this? You know what I mean, to anybody else? Like, if you've never done this before, you don't know what to expect. And then while you're there, this was pre-COVID, and it's not like people are going to shake your hands or anything like that.
Yeah.
Then on top of it, when I was there, there was another guy in line, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable, you know, because it was like, you know what's happening. Right. So
well, I mean, I understand that the journey for both of you has been quite difficult. And at this point, I kind of want to segue to here, because you shared a lot. You shared about, you know, the low sperm count. Natalie, you shared about the IUI, the IVF, the about weight being a factor, age being a factor, all of these things. So I'm going to turn it over to the brother who knows more about this than any of us, and jump right in, you know, share with us some of what you've heard, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. Can you guys hear me? You hear me? All right.
I hear you.
First, Joe and Natalie, I commend you guys for what you've gone through, and you are blessed that you're able to have success. I kind of took some notes down from hearing both of you speak. It's kind of what I actually do at my clinic as well. And I just want to kind of systematically go through some of the things you guys have mentioned. Natalie, first to your points, one of the biggest factors we have in African American women is fibroids. Fibroids and tubal factors are some of the major causes why African American women have difficulty getting pregnant. It's more prevalent in you guys than white women. So what usually happens is when we're drawing the blood, of course, we're checking all the levels for everything. But when you're going through an IVF cycle, we're checking the blood, especially your E2, your estradiol level. We're checking to see if that grows to when you're on hormones to enhance oocyte follicle development. We're checking you every day, every 2 days to check out the growth of the follicles. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to just basically put your body on steroids to help hype you up so that when you do go through an IVF procedure, we can retrieve as many eggs as possible to do it to an IVF cycle. But you guys were able to get pregnant on an IUI. And here is my concern about IUIs and minority people. Oftentimes, when we have minorities seeking IVF treatment, you want to go through the treatments, but you don't want to pay for IVF. That's a huge factor because this thing that we have in our mind is that IVF is so expensive. IVF costs, and I commend you, Joe, because I can't tell you how many times I've had husbands come to my clinic. You know, they want to have a baby. Yeah, sure. Do they want to pay for IVF? Not necessarily. So they have the onus of this is what she wants. You know, I can have a baby, you know, yes or no, but this is what she wants. I'm basically here, and I've had guys tell me this straight up. I'm just basically here because this is what she wants. You know, the faster I get in here, produce a sample, and get out, the better it is for me. So it's key to have spousal support when you're going through this IVF treatment. I can tell you guys a quick story because I'm not gonna mention any names, but to the point you said, Joe, about low sperm counts. I'm in, as Keisha would know, I'm probably in one of the most machismo fraternities to ever be made by a man. I remember Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And you cannot tell a man of Omega Psi Phi that he cannot populate the world. You can't tell him. And it's amazing how, you know, I would be in certain settings with their brothers, and if you're having a good time and you're laughing, you're drinking, whatever, that someone pulls you up and says, "Hey, big, can I talk to you?" And when they say that, I know exactly what that means. That means that they're going through some fertility issues, and this is their moment. They feel comfortable to talk to me about it. Not saying it's not a good moment for me because you just jacked me up. Now I have to stop what I'm doing and hear what you have to say because this may be the only time that you feel comfortable to talk to me. So it's so important for the spousal support. And I commend you for this, Joe. But a quick story. I was at a clinic one time and I had a couple come into for IVF treatments. Now the husband had kids already. He had 2 kids. And he kept saying all through the consultation that, you know what, this is not me. I have 2 kids. You know, it's my second marriage. You know, I'm just here for her. I have 2 kids. You know, I have 2 kids. She's sitting next to him crying her eyes out. And one thing we always tell the couples, and I always tell my friends, do not expect all this to be on the female. Do not expect it all to be on the female. There is so much I can find out in you doing one semen analysis that can change the whole lifestyle of the whole conversation. So as this guy, and he was pretty aggressive, very machismo, very manly, if you will, sitting there, and she's crying because she's thinking that, you know, this is my fault. He's got 2 kids already. I'm trying to have a baby. I can't get pregnant. I don't know what's wrong with me. And that's what I hear a lot from women. They always say, what's wrong with me that I can't get pregnant? And I have to say that, ladies, stop thinking it's something that's wrong with you. It's a 50-50 thing. Even if you do get pregnant, the sperm has to be right and the egg has to be right in the development of the embryo. So you can have faulty sperm and a great egg, but fertilization, yes. Achieve implantation, no. So getting back to my story, the guy was very aggressive. You know, he kept saying it's his fault. So I said to my andrologist, which is someone who does this sperm analysis, semen analysis, I said, listen, at the very least, I understand, Mr. So-and-so, that you have 2 kids, but before we do anything here, I need to see your sperm sample. And he's like, well, I have my results from my other lab. I'm like, all right, cool. Look, I need to see it right now, what's going on right now. So we sent them to do a semen analysis. And the andrologist came back to me with a blank look on her face. And she gave me the folder. I looked at it. I put it down. And I looked at her again. I said, I need you to go check this again. She took it, went back, checked the sample again, came back. On that sheet, Joe, was his semen analysis, and he had 0 sperm.
Did you say 0?
0. 0 sperm. Wow. To the point where, and again, I'm speaking to sometimes our ignorance. When I told him, I said, Mr. So-and-so, you know, I got your semen analysis results, and you have no sperm. First thing he tells me is, what are you talking about? I see my sperm all the time. Every time I have sex. And I'm like, dude, you see seminal fluid, which protects the sperm that travels through the oocyte.
Wow.
You see fluid, absolutely. But in that fluid, it's supposed to be millions and millions and millions of sperm cells.
Wow.
You have 0 sperm cells. So that sister who was sitting next to him, who was crying her eyes out, all of a sudden, them tears ran back up her face. Wow. Into her eyes. And she now looked at him like, what's going on here?
Right. What's wrong with you?
And then she went into the arm folding like, you blaming me all this time. And then he goes berserk in my office because I just told him he has no sperm. And he's telling me he's got 2 boys. And I'm like, from yours, usually in our profession, right? If you had sperm at one point and it slowly dies down, unless you're going through chemotherapy, you can pretty much see the numbers going down gradually. But if we see nothing at all, honestly, no Sertoli cells, which are the prerequisites of the sperm cells, nothing that shows that there is a growth of a sperm cell, that means you never had sperm. Never. Which can be caused from like undescended testicle or things of that nature. So there are so many other factors that can make it where you will not have sperm. Because that sample was so clean, he never had sperm.
So then you're saying that those 2 boys are not his?
Yep.
Wow. I was just thinking that.
But here's the thing. When he went ballistic in my office to New Jersey law at the time, and I'm quite sure it's around the world for people who have gone through divorce and child support, once the court recognizes you as the father, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
To try to get that, and of course, he went into a whole thing where he was going to go and sue. I'm like, dude, whatever you want to do, it has no bearing here on what she's trying to get pregnant. Wow. So I say that to say to all the couples who are trying to go through fertility treatments, and for all the women who think that you are bear the burden of all of this, stop right there. Before you do anything, make sure your partner gets tested with a semen analysis, and make sure he has 2 or 3 productions. The reason why I say 2 or 3 production is that sperm is produced 90 days in advance, right? So if 90 days ago, if you had the flu, fever, you're not going to have any sperm production, or it's going to be very, very low. Wow. So what we like to do is we like to have 2 semen analysis, preferably 3, to see exactly what we're working with. Now, right now, I'm getting a whole lot of questions from brothers about COVID and the vaccine.
Right.
Right now, there is nothing to say that the vaccine causes fertility for men. Nothing there. However, if you have COVID, then oh yeah, you will have 0 to no sperm counts production at that time period.
Wow.
So it's just still, so if you have fever-based chills, some things of that nature, it's all there. So I say all that to say that you have to make sure that you get your spouse checked out. You know, we're going to take the woman through a battery of tests. A battery of tests. And I'm quite sure you can speak to him, Scott. A battery of tests. You be picked, poked, prodded, pulled on, and all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas he can do one semen analysis, preferably 2, and it can change the whole thing. Because if we see a semen analysis is too low, then there's no way, heck, we're going to keep doing an IUI. There's no way. The IUI success rate is only like 17%. Only 17%. Wow. But insurance companies will press people to do IUIs, and especially minority people, because what we do is when a woman's trying to go through fertility treatments and they say, well, I think it's covered by insurance, a woman of color, if you will, she will call her insurance company and she'll say, do you guys cover fertility treatments? And then most of the time, the company will say, no, we don't. But when I have some of my Caucasian patients call their insurance company and they say, do you cover fertility cases? And an insurance company says, we don't. They'll say, why not? Because what you have to realize is that you don't know when you call your insurance company, they'll say this call is being monitored for whatever, quality insurance, whatever. When those women call and say, why not? They have to then in turn, 9 times out of 10, they don't know what to say. Then they're fumbling through a book to try to find out, well, we do cover FET. Well, what's an FET? If you don't know what fertility treatment is, you don't know what FET is. And FET is a frozen embryo transfer. So you can cover a frozen embryo transfer, but you won't cover IVF. See, all those different insurance companies cover different things. Most of the time, the insurance package is made up. The HR is made up of people who I would say probably have 2.5 kids. So if you're looking at an insurance plan that you're going to be what's best for your company, and if you already have kids, you may not be in the mindset of dealing with some of your employees that may have fertility issues. You're going to go with the best package that's best for your business. So for all the women of color out there who are thinking about fertility in your insurance company, call them, ask them if they cover IVF, and if they don't cover IVF, why not? And can you speak to someone who can go through your plan with you with the tooth and comb?
So, Brother Smalls, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this, because I feel like you've used. Can you just tell me what IUI is once again?
Oh, IUI is the old-fashioned. My crass brothers would say it's a turkey-based technique. Basically, it's intrauterine insemination. So, what that basically is a syringe, right? And what we do is we'll process the sperm, meaning that we'll spin it, separate the free-moving motile sperm from those sperm cells that are barely developed. So what we are now inserting into the female is straight moving 100% sperm, nothing to hold the sperm back. And also the media kind of like hypes it up a little bit to get it to move faster. So that's intrauterine insemination.
Okay.
And
that differs from IVF. How?
IVF is when I'm able to pick up one sperm and manually micro manipulation and insert it directly into an egg. But that's also the whole process, whereas we put you on the hormones, right? And we try to get as many oocytes as possible to increase our chances. Now,
that's when you get harvesting, is that what they call harvesting when they?
Yeah, kind of like it's kind of like harvesting. But what our goal is to try to get as many oocytes as possible from the female, as many as possible, and we will inject them, or we used to do what we call just regular insemination, where we would just put the eggs in a dish with sperm and just let it go and let natural things happen. Okay. But what we sometimes find out is that sometimes the sperm mitochondria of the sperm that helps it to break down the okay, let me come back. What happens? What happens is this: once the sperm is kind of like magnetized and gets to the oocyte, and then when it starts to bore itself in, well, sometimes it's the head of the sperm is missing that factor that allows it to bore inside the oocyte. So what we do is manually insert the sperm into the oocyte and let progression take its course.
Okay. All right. Can you speak to us about let's
I have a few more things, my dear.
Oh.
I just want to answer their questions. I guess got 2 or 3 more here. I wrote them down. She thought I wasn't paying attention. See. And this is one thing that you can probably speak to, Keisha. I have sisters and brothers as well, and I grew up in of course, the traditional, African American family. And here's one thing I noticed about what my sisters had to go through. Well, they have children. They're blessed to have children, but this is what I know they had to go through. For those sisters who come from a large family, for those people who are part of sororities, for those women who are part of the church, so those women who work in an office building where a whole lot of women. So you've got a baby shower in the office. You got your sorors who's having baby showers. You got people in the church who's having baby showers. And damn be damn, you have your sister now having a baby shower. So now you're surrounded by baby showers. And everybody's saying is, oh, Natalie, what's going on with you? You're young and all the people having kids around you. What y'all waiting for? What y'all waiting for? And to the point, Joe, I know you play like saying like, yo, man, what you get away from me? I know. So you're looking at so many ways that you're under intense amount of stress,
pressure,
and you want to say, leave me alone, but you can't because that's Miss So-and-so who has no filter, who asks you in front of everybody what y'all waiting for, and what is taking you so long, and you gonna let your years slip by, and all kind of pressure. And to the point was this: I used to have, I still do, believe it or not, I still have the potential grandma coming with her daughter to IVF treatments. Why? Grandma wants a grandchild.
Period.
And she's like, damn, Mr. Smalls, I'm bringing my daughter here, and she's gonna start her IVF treatment right now. And I'm like, but she's not ready. No, she's ready. Wait, what? No, she's ready. I need my grandbaby now. And then they'll get into a whole spiel of how they're not long on this earth, and I want my grandchild right now. So for a woman of color, you've got your mother, you've got your sister, you've got your sorority sisters, you have the people you are working with, all having babies, and you are suffering in silence because we are not comfortable with talking about fertility treatments.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing about it. When we do talk about fertility treatments, people expect it to work every time.
Yep.
I've had women come to my office and say, well, I just want twins right now. That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. And they're like, well, I'm just gonna get it out of the way and just get 2 babies right now, 3, do IVF and keep going. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. I've been fortunate to see and to treat a lot of stars. And some of those women who you think they get on there in the microphone and say, oh, I had twins and it's natural.
Slowing up there, something.
They did fertility treatments. They did, and a lot of them do because you look at their age and how advanced they are, and just so happens that now they having twins. So you look at the pressure that the sisters are under to achieve family growth is phenomenal. It's heavy.
Yeah,
it's heavy, man. It is so heavy. So then becomes how you deal with your spouse, which is so key. That you've been such a great partner, Joe, because you could have been that husband that didn't care. You know what I mean? Because I had guys tell me, believe it or not, Keisha, I had guys tell me, dog, I need to do IVF, but I need to do it on the strength, dog. I need to do it on the shield. I don't want to pay all this money for IVF. Well, I'm like, dude, you can't put this on the shield, man. You have to be able to go through treatments with her every step of the way.
Yeah.
You can't just say, you just can't jump in and jump out.
Right.
You can't, because if you are, and I've seen so many marriages break up because the guy jumped in and jumped out. See, because what the sister's feeling, she's feeling that she's been punished. And let me touch on this. There's some sisters who listen to you right now, Keisha, who have had abortions, right? Years ago, teenage years. But now they're trying to have a kid now and can't. Right. So now they feel guilt. And some of us who are so strong in the church feel that it's punishment.
Right.
Right. And then can I just speak to?
Go right ahead.
Yep.
They popped off, Keisha.
Yep.
They popped off, Keisha.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, I remember.
Seems like we're having a little technical difficulty.
Okay, we can hear you just
fine. We can hear you.
Are you there?
Yeah, we hear you.
Can you hear us, Keisha?
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead and finish talking then. If you can.
So I remember, I think when I realized like how tough it was for Natalie, is some close friends of ours had recently had a child, very close friends of ours, and we were at another person's house, just like as a get together, and the father was talking all about how his parents were so excited and how happy they were and all of these joyful moments. And as we're celebrating with them, of course, we're happy with them. Natalie gets up and just kind of walks out, and she goes to the bathroom, and she's in the bathroom and she's just bawling her eyes out. And at that moment is when I realized like how painful this whole process was. Like that's when it became real for me. Like, I mean, I understood it, but not to the level that I needed to understand it, because now I see the emotional charge behind it. Because she's in the bathroom with all of our friends and she's bawling her eyes out, and it's like, wow, like, what can I do to fix it? Because this is when I still didn't know, about the process. I really didn't understand. This was before the IUIs and all of that. This was like in the beginning stages of it. So it was so that it really made me upset to see her so upset. So I said, okay, now I realize that I definitely have to step up and be a support system, because there's no way she's going to get through this without me supporting her, and I've always just wanted to be a father at some point. I just assumed that it would happen, as a man, men don't think about things like, fertility issues. It has never in my life even been a conversation that I knew was a thing.
Wow.
Right.
Absolutely.
I've never even heard of it until I'm in the middle of it.
Right. And here's the thing with that, Joe. And I'm going to take you back to your childhood. When we were younger, right? We were playing with G.I. Joe, Big Jim with the Kung Fu grip, cars, trucks, bats, balls, right? I have sisters. My sisters are my same age. They were playing with dolls, with babies. So the mindset is that, this is what they want to do going forward. This is just how it is. That's transgression. They think that but they're going to motherhood early in life. This is what they're thinking about all this time. So I say that to say, even with, believe it or not, to the thing of when you're getting married. And I always tell my frat brothers this, they're like, oh, we have our wedding, I want to do this, I'm gonna do that, and she's gonna do this. I'm like, dude. Women are thinking when they comes to marriage, they've got this thing planned out systematically long before you jumped on board, homie. So you just stand there where the tape is for you. Might be able to pick out your suit, maybe. And, and that's it. So it's just systematically where we are.
So let me ask you this. You're talking a lot about, we're talking a lot about couples, married couples having children and spousal support. When I went to check myself out, at that time I was not dating anyone, and I just kind of wanted to know what my chances were. And one of the options that they gave me several options. They said, if you're seeing someone, if you're, married, engaged, whatever, that was one option. Another option was to get a friend, and I know someone who has selected, the person they selected was a gay male that has been their friend since childhood, who has always wanted to have a child, and at that point wanted to have a child, and he was willing to father her child. And then you have the other option of just going to a sperm bank. Is that really big now, even now?
You know what's really big? I have a really, really heavy gay following right now. I have a large, extremely large following right now. I've got 2 women. I've got a lot of men. So for 2 men, it's very expensive, but it's funny how the dynamics, and everyone wants to build a family. Right. So with the men, we have 2 different guys. We have 2 different sperm samples. Then we'll have the donor who donates her eggs. Sometimes they will get a known donor, which I don't like. They will get a known donor, or they will purchase donor eggs. So say you purchase donor eggs, so you have 10 of them, right? So one male gets to inseminate 5 eggs, the other male gets to inseminate other 5 eggs. So after that, you need a surrogate to actually carry the baby. The surrogate, we don't mind a surrogate because we want to be someone you're comfortable with. But surrogacy, there's a lot of money in surrogacy, and they changed the laws in New York State surrogacy, because before we couldn't do any transfers into surrogates in New York State.
Right.
So right now, what I do is that I have to rent a clinic, rent space in New Jersey to do my to do my gay transfers in New Jersey, or I'll rent another clinic in Connecticut, because right now we can't do it in New York still. I mean, they're changing the laws.
Surrogacy is still an option for straight women as well, who are not, who their womb is not, conducive to carrying a child. So that is also another option, that you may have the egg, but you're not able to, like Gabrielle Union, right? I believe
Gabrielle and Kim Kardashian. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So and what I mostly found with my sisters when I deal with minority patients is that when I tell them donor egg, they shriek back like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Because they're still not comfortable with accepting another egg in their body. Well, my consultation with them is, but you are the one who's nurturing that baby. It's inside of you. You are the one that baby is affecting and feeding off of every day. You are the one that the baby is getting these emotions from. So,
but the baby not gonna have my eyes.
See. So what we do is, so when I sit down with my patients of color, we will sit down and we will go through my donor egg bank, and we will get a woman that has their characteristics, their same eye color, their same texture,
right?
They're even up to their nose, and then we'll look at then we go into the educational aspect of it. So science has changed immensely in years. So now I actually have women of color coming in and saying, well, I'm having difficulty. I'm getting close to that age. I have to consider donor egg now, and this is what I want to do.
Well, is there really a such thing as too old? What would you say is too old for a woman?
In my clinic, or
your clinic, and in general? Listen,
I would say, if you are, again, to do IVF treatments.
No, just let's start with just having a child. Then we'll talk about IVF.
That's when you want to have a child, that's your business.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Right. So now
that's on you. But as far as fertility treatments, we do have a cutoff. We tend to stay away from anything in the late 40s. and without them doing donor egg, you know, we'll do donor egg into the early 50s. We'll even do some treatments in early. It depends on the body, really. It depends on how what kind of shape she's in, and can she take it. But that comes from with a battery of tests. And if we do someone in their 50s, then we recommend something we call PGS. That's pre-genetic implantation. So what we do with PGS is we go through IVF, and you have embryos. On that 5th day, what we'll do is we'll do a biopsy on the embryo. So we'll biopsy the embryo, checking for any genetic abnormalities, the sex, of course, and we'll freeze that oocyte while we're doing these tests. And then we'll have you come back in another month. Okay, we'll say, okay, Keisha, we've got a healthy female embryo for you, or we've got a healthy boy embryo for you. You can have one, you can have both.
So, at the same time, I can have both?
You can have them both. You can have both eggs if you want. You know, like that. And that's how. And this way we know that the embryos are healthy. We know the sex, and it's much easier stress wise. Now, after you still got to go through the whole 9 months thing, but it's a lot easier stress wise.
And you can do that at any point. I mean, you do that for women that are 50, but
for older women, we definitely push for older women to go through PGS.
So like 47-ish, right?
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. So we've heard so much information tonight. My God. You talked about males in COVID and infertility. Do you have any data or anything on the vaccine and females as it pertains to fertility?
No, but there are some tests being developed. I mean, some studies being developed right now. I know it's not about the vaccine. It's more about if you have COVID, you know,
okay,
the fear of having COVID and being pregnant and all that. But again, we really were hit with COVID last year. That it really was that first solo year. So there's tons of studies going on right now. It's going to take us at least 2 or 3 years to get an adequate study out there that shows any kind of definitive answers about COVID, the vaccines, and infertility.
And I know you can't answer this question, but you know, several people have asked me, and I really believe that taking the vaccine or getting the vaccine is definitely a personal decision. And I shared that for me, because I do desire, I'm still praying and holding on to.
So let me ask you a question. So let me ask you a question, Dr. KJ.
Yeah.
So you go to a banquet, right? You go to a banquet. What's your favorite cake that you like to eat? Your favorite cake?
Oh, pina colada, pineapple coconut cake.
Pineapple coconut cake, right? Let's say you are now in the Virgin Islands, right? And someone says, hey, it's a pineapple coconut cake over there. You gonna try it out?
It depends on if I'm on a diet or not.
Lies and fallacies.
No.
Lies and fallacies.
Nope.
I agree with
you. You would try that cake a lot faster than you would get a vaccine shot that's been FDA approved.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not that person. I'm going to ask a few questions. I really am. I'm not, because I know that for me, personal, this is personal, right? I'm not telling any sister out there listening or any brother. For me personally, I know that, you know, I'm all for science. I believe in science. All that stuff is wonderful. But I would hate, after waiting all these years, having never been pregnant, having never experienced motherhood on any level, right? I would hate for me to get to that point and find out that it was because I took the vaccine, or because I ate this, or ate that pina colada cake, that I now have greatly, because I'm already high risk, quote unquote. I'm already at that point where I'm high risk, right? So I ain't taking no other risks. I'm good.
Have you ever taken the flu shot?
No, I have not.
You've never taken it? Okay.
No. I take echinacea. I take ginger root. I take sea moss. I take elderberry. Look.
Yeah, if they had that cake at the street fair, you try that cake, wouldn't you?
No, not at the street fair. Maybe at the church, but not at the street fair.
Oh.
But we're gonna open up. We're gonna open up now. We're gonna open up for some questions from our audience because we have now reached that 1 hour point, and at the 1 hour point, I generally open it up for questions. Somebody asked, and I'm gonna let you answer this, Brother Smalls. Somebody asked about the shield. What does the shield mean? I know what the shield means, but you talked about the shield, so tell them what the shield means, bro.
That's just a saying that we say in my fraternity, rather, when we want something of benefit, of help, if you will. So when we say on the shield, it's like, hey, I need some help, man. I need some help.
So somebody says, I had to have it. Now help me out. A hysteroscopy. Say it again.
Hysteroscopy? Or hysterosalpingogram.
Yes, that's it. You said it good. Mm-hmm. In order to conceive my one daughter. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, that's a tube that goes through that you go push through a dye to check your tubing out. So sometimes, again, remember I said that with African American minorities, tubal factor is a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Tubal factor is a huge thing. So sometimes it can tell you about tubal blockage or anything of that nature. So sometimes we even have the point where some women, like we mentioned about having surrogates, they can't get pregnant or tubal factors. So we'll remove the oocytes, fertilize them, put them to a surrogate, and hopefully they'll achieve family building from there.
Okay. All right. I'm looking to see if we have any questions because I know, look, there are some folks that are on here. I can see a few of the people that are on here that have asked me some questions. And so I just need to know who has the questions. I can't answer them. We got the people here that can answer them. So in the next few moments, feel free to
let me go into another one with Joe, because he's been a great person to speak to.
Sure.
And again, I'm not going to lean on his shield, as I said earlier. But what I will say is there are lots of times with this process that sex is a chore. Ooh. It is a chore. So it is a chore. That's like you're at work, bring, make sure you come straight home. I'm ovulating. So we need to do this now. And you're like, damn, I want to go.
You remember that episode of Martin? You remember that episode of Martin? That episode of Martin when he was on jury duty and Gina was like, I'm ovulating, and they rented a hotel room across the street. And he was going to climb out the window, out the jury room, just to do what needed to be done to get her pregnant.
That is so. I mean, when sex becomes, and when the guys come to my office, sometimes, especially though, it's funny because when the guys come in and they're during the week, it's funny. It's like, all right, I'm at work, but when it's Saturday morning, they like, oh man, I want to go play golf. I want to do this. And I have to do this because, and then they want, like you said, Joe, my collection room happens to be, the bomb. I have to say, my collection room. I'm telling you right now, Joe. I have guys go in my collection room. They don't want to leave. So
I believe you, but I can tell you, it's just super uncomfortable because that somebody was there before you. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's it's not like it's your own bedroom. Mm-hmm. You're in a room where this has happened, regularly.
Privacy would matter. Yeah, privacy definitely matters. And like you said, Joe, you come out of that room and everybody's looking at you like, I know what you just did.
Yes, exactly.
I know what you just did. Yeah, I know what you just did. Yeah, it's definitely I've had guys tell me like, they go into the room and after an hour, come back and say, look, I just can't do it here. I'm just not comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I've got to go home and do it. I've had to send guys to hotels to where they feel more comfortable and more private and bring the sample back. I've had that a lot.
Someone wants to know, do you treat POS patients?
Is it PCOS?
Probably PCOS.
Maybe that's what they put POS.
Yeah, I mean that's where. So that's kind of like basically saying when the hormones work too well, and you have too many oocytes. So even after you do the retrieval and get the oocytes out, the body is still ramping up. So yeah, we do treat that. It's a difficult thing to treat, but it's a thing that's treatable. Yes.
Okay. So, someone wants to know, where is your office and what type of medical insurance does it take? Do you take?
All right. I'm right in Midtown Manhattan. If they go to my website, Global Fertility and Genetics, I'm sorry, globalfertility.net. You could probably see what we take. I think we take like the 8 major. There's United Healthcare, Oxford, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think it's like 7 or 8 of them we take. But for those who want to do fertility treatments and want to use their insurance, make sure you contact your insurance company to see what's covered.
Okay. Brother Smalls, you want to say something, Natalie? Go ahead.
Oh, well, we were talking because Brother Smalls is talking about the chore. So I think
I didn't get a chance to comment on that.
Go right ahead, brother.
Well, like you said, it became a chore, and not and it's not that you didn't want to, but because it's now a requirement as opposed to just
what it's intended for.
Instead of the love and passion that's normally a part of it, now it's like, all right, today is the 12th, and according to my schedule, this needs to happen. So it takes all the enjoyment out of it, and then it becomes harder for us, at least for me, because now it's not spontaneous, it's not passion filled. It's all right, hurry up, get this done. And then we had to have a conversation where she would get frustrated with me because I'm not reaching the goal.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody said no romance. It's work. It becomes work. Right. It's no longer.
Right. And that's the thing, as men, like you mentioned, Joe, we like the spontaneity of it. We like to, if I want to do it now, I'm gonna do it now. But we're not going to be told what to do. And that's just how we are. I was like, we got to do it now. I'm like, wait, what? I'm going to go play golf. Or I've been golfing with some of my friends. I'm not gonna say bros anymore. And it's been like they get a call like, damn. Nah, and honestly, like, we're going through some treatments now, and she's ovulating, and I'm like, all right, you gonna get you back in the cart and drive back around? He's like, man, I just started golf. Like, dude, you got to take the sacrifice right now.
Time is of the essence, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
Bring
your behind home now. Yes.
Yep.
I think that to keep it like spicy or enjoyable, don't tell your spouse that it's got to be on a schedule. Pretend it's spontaneous. I don't know, because you want to still enjoy it. You want to still, because when you're married, you're doing this out of passion and love, and you're trying to keep each other happy, right? But when it comes to, all right, it becomes an assignment in school, then it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same at all.
Right.
So you don't enjoy it as much, just to be quite honest. And then, it's got to happen a certain way. Or, when you do all the research, you should be in certain positions. All of these things are factors. And it's like, now it becomes a science project as opposed to, an act of love.
And to that point, Joe, if we may leave it a little more even graphic, is like when you're in the art of your, like you say, in passion and love making, to now say, no, we have to do it this way. It should be done this way. And you're like, wait, what are you talking about?
Wait, time out. Wait a minute. Now I missed that. I told him that must have been when there was some technical difficulty. Is there a certain way it has to be done in order to?
We don't really follow that. People have said that. You've seen some books that says, okay, this position is better, that position is better.
Right.
I've found no empirical empirical knowledge that says that this way is better than that way. It all depends on how fast that sperm is swimming.
And what can our brothers, what could our brothers eat? Like, those of us from the West Indies, we have so many concoctions.
None of that is works.
You need some manish water, you need some coconut soup, you need, this and that, right? You need all of these different things in order to ensure you're strong, right? You need your Irish moss, right?
But make it strong like lion.
Right. Like the lion, right?
And I can be honest with you guys right now. I have a lot of West Indian patients. Men.
They didn't do what they were told.
Look. Well, one thing I can say that smoking a lot of marijuana does have an effect on your semen analysis.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Marijuana, especially for long-term usage of marijuana, definitely has an effect on the viability of the sperm.
How about alcohol? How about, are there any other foods or anything?
You get into the nutritional factor of it. I'm quite sure there are some nutritional factors that are associated with infertility. Definitely, or best to better prepare your body. I know zero about nutritional value with that.
Okay.
I think Dr. Yolanda would be a lot better. She knows way more than I do. I'm going
to reach out to you, Dr. Yolanda, my new Facebook friend. We're going to have a good conversation. You might be on our next show.
I would get smacked out of set if I talked about physician and stuff. No way I'm touching that one. No way.
Yeah, because I've heard, I've spoken to several people. I've heard things like, these are some of the myths, but if you want to have twins, eat a whole lot of candy, a whole lot of yams, like just things like that. So I know that some of those things are not factual, some of the things that we've heard, but yes, indeed. So now, Brother Smalls, we had a conversation, and I'm looking to see if the prize, the gift that we spoke about is to give out. So I hope that she is on here. There is I'm getting emotional now. Yeah, I'm gonna start crying because Brother Smalls and I, when we were setting up this date, I really wanted to do this for Mother's Day. I wanted to do this right before Mother's Day. But of course, unfortunately, we were not able to due to scheduling. And so Brother Small said, if you do it on the 13th, I will give one of your viewers a free consultation. A free consultation. They can come to my office and get a free consultation.
Wow.
And one of my sister friends and her husband, they are recently married, and they want to have children, and I want to see them have children. And so I don't know if she's even on here right now. I'm looking, and I don't want to blow up her name, but her initials are TR, and his are BR. And I will be contacting you both after this show to let you know that you all are the recipients of the free consultation with Brother Smalls. And I look forward to seeing the little bambino afterwards.
And actually, Dr. KJ, I'm going to have them meet with one of my top REI. You mentioned earlier today that about having a reproductive endocrinologist. His name is Dr. Melvin Thornton, and he's also African American. So
that's wonderful.
Have them meet with Dr. Thornton. They will reach out once you will coordinate everything. I'll give you my assistant's number, and we'll set up the free consultation.
Thank you so much. I'm going to reach out to them. I saw one of our good friends who's on the line watching. I hope she doesn't go and say anything to them first, but I'm very, very excited about that. And thank you so much. Someone said, that's awesome, Mr. Smalls. They're saying that's awesome. Thank you so much. So as it is the tradition here on Living the Liberated Life, I usually close our conversations if there are no other questions, with a final liberating thought. That I ask you all to share your final liberating thought. And as you all think about your final liberating thought, I want to encourage our viewers to please follow Living the Liberated Life on with Dr. KJ on YouTube, because there you will find some of our previous shows. And the month of June is going to be so amazing. I'll tell you, one of our shows that I'm super, we're going to have a travel show talking about travel. For African Americans as we come out of COVID, some of the places that are really hot to go, the things you need to be aware of as you travel. But for our Juneteenth show, June 17th, I will be having a live reveal of my African DNA being traced back. So it'll be a live reveal. I won't know about it until we're going to learn about it together. But they're going to trace my maternal, one of the branches on my maternal line. So my cousins that are cousins from my mother's side of the family, you all are going to be the recipients and be blessed, just as blessed, to find out what tribe in what country in Africa and what tribe in Africa we are from. And that's going to be an amazing, amazing show. I'm looking forward to that. And then finally, you all know, if you follow me, you all know that we launched Liberty. Many of you have purchased some of our candles, but you have not purchased our tea. So we have 2 teas that are available now, and you can go to Liberty Life, which is our, can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Liberty Life. We have Empowerment flavored tea, and I blend the teas myself. I've had them all. They're all certified teas. They are vegan. One is vegan and organic. And somebody said amazing teas. The tea is amazing. Thank you. And we want you to go ahead, go online. You can get a matching candle to match the flavor, Satisfy My Soul and Empowerment. And then we have several other candles right there on the site. We do have one more question before we go, before you give your last liberating thought. And that question is, I am 43 years old, suffered from fibroids, had a myomectomy, and would like to have children. I would like more than one, but I'm already considered high risk. Given my age, would you recommend trying to have multiples?
I recommend, and this is just my opinion, that you have a baby. And that's first and foremost, have a child. Because I think when you try to even attempt to do multiples or go into that's uncharted waters. I think we should just get through the hurdle of just trying to have the baby, and then deal with everything else as it comes. Make sure when you get to your doctor, whoever you deal with, they have an understanding of exactly not only what you want, but have a realistic conversation with you. We often have patients that come in that tell me what they want, and I understand that, but you have to have that realistic conversation of what's possible. So I think when patients in general, whether it's male or female, they have to have a realistic expectation of what can be done.
Yeah. So you say just go ahead and have that baby, sis.
Look. You know how many times I have people come to me, they say, "Big, I'm sorry." They say, "I'm trying to. I want to know if I can get pregnant." And I'm like, "Well, are you trying?" They'll say, "No." I just want to know.
Right.
And I'm like, "But are you trying?" "No, I'm not trying. I just want to know." I'm like, "Well, after you try, then let me know. Then we can talk from there."
Yep. And Libertina, is a really great name. Libertina. That is a wonderful name for the babies that will come as a result of coming and watching this show. I'm just joking. That's a horrible name. But anyway, I hope nobody's name is Libertina. But let's go ahead and, hey, wait a minute, Scott. Where's the picture of the baby? Where's the baby?
So if you wanted us to do this interview, she had to be with her grandmother. So thank you to my mother-in-law, Joe's mom, for watching our 2.5-year-old beautiful baby girl.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank God for her.
And what is her name?
Naya, which means flowing water. And she loves,
Naya.
yeah, Naya.
Wonderful, beautiful. So, what is your final liberating thought before we go?
I would say, like, through the process, yes, the process is hard. And so I'm going to do it twofold. For someone out there who knows someone that is married, don't be quick to ask them when they're going to have a child, because you don't know what they are going through. There's a term that is kind of popular now. It says, mind your own womb, mind your own business, just to be very honest.
Mind your own womb, sis. Just mind your own womb. Yeah.
Mind your own business, because you don't know what that person or couple or individual is going through. No matter how attractive the man or woman may be, and they may say, oh, you know, you'll make a beautiful baby. What's wrong with you? And we've heard that flat out, just like that. Mind your own business. So that's one aspect for those who have not gone through this. For those who are couples, one piece of advice is that, yes, the fertility process is long, draining, and emotional, but I wouldn't say date your spouse. Take time to enjoy your spouse, not talk about infertility, not talk about a baby. Just you and your spouse enjoy each other, because once that baby comes, and I speak life to everyone that wants a child, but once that baby comes or so forth, and they go away to college, it's just going to be you and your spouse.
That's right.
That's it. Don't be so hard on yourself. Love each other, but also, you know, do what the doctor told you to do. So if you're going through fertility treatments, do what the doctor told you to do. Enjoy each other, and also mind your own womb. So that's my piece of advice.
And how can we find? And how can we meet? How can we follow you? How can we follow Laughing Sarah Ministries?
So you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or email me at I am Laughing Sarah. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, on I am Laughing Sarah, and I'm doing a relaunch of my website, but it is www.laughingsarah.org.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And brother Scott, did you let your wife speak for you, or you have something you'll find a liberating thought?
I guess I would say, you know, particularly for the men out here, I'll speak to you guys, right? The first thing you have to you have to do is do your best to realize that you cannot fix it. You can't. You just have to be there for the process and be there to support them emotionally, which is hard for men. You know what I mean? We try our best to do things in logic, you know, and without being emotional. Like, that's almost like a curse word for most men, you know. So you have to understand that you have to support them emotionally first, and that sometimes they're going to need to vent to you and have all of these emotions, and you just have to listen. And that's very hard. That was hard for me, you know. And the second thing is when you do have the conversations about what your spouse is going through. For me, I had to ask like for understanding, because all of these terms, IUIs, VFF, and WWF, you know, I have no idea.
That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one.
Right. I'm being facetious, but
I know.
You know, I had no idea what any of that meant. And I had no idea what she was doing when she went to the doctor. I just knew she would go to the doctor and she'd come back in pain. Or she would go to the doctor and she'd come back emotional. That's all I knew. So we had to have a conversation, because she thought that I understood what was going on, and I had no idea what she was going through. And then one day we just had a conversation, and she literally explained everything to me, almost as if she was talking to a child, because I had no understanding of it. And that's when, that was another aha moment for me. Like, okay, this is really a lot more difficult than I knew. I didn't understand the surgeries. I didn't understand what scarring was and all of these things. And like I said, all the lettering. So just try to be as understanding and emotionally supportive as you can. And that's for the brothers out here. Like, you got to be there for them, because it's not about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And finally, Brother Smalls.
Yeah. First, thank you for allowing me to come out and just share a little bit of information. Thank you to Joe and Natalie for just being honest and expressing. I have tons and tons of couples who will not do this, So I commend you on just having the strength to talk about this as you go through it. Thank you, Dr. KJ, for allowing me to come on and talk about what I know that I often feel that people have a hard time dealing with, and even really talking about, and to give them this free forum to get these questions and answers, I think is really great. I want to leave you guys with this from a couple standpoint, from the women's standpoint. First, stop feeling guilty. Stop feeling like this is my fault. Stop feeling like I am the only one going through this. Stop feeling like, it's all on me for child building and childbearing. I often talk about women in powerful positions, about the mask you wear. That mask you wear every day. You're the head of the church, you're a church lady, you're the head of a CEO. You've got that mask on. For sisters, you have to wear that mask. Even at home, you have to wear that mask. You have to put out that facade that everything is going to be all right. Because women are taught at an early age to endure. To endure. That's all right, baby. It'll be all right. It'll get better. That's all right, baby. It'll be all right. Your time ain't come yet.
Right.
I believe that it's okay, to pray and be proactive. Pray and be proactive.
That's right.
For the guys who are going through this, like what Joe said, I'm gonna help Dr. KJ out with this one. I always go back to Donnie McKirkland and that song "Stand." When you've done all you can, and there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else you can say to that woman to calm her down. Just stand. Just be there and just listen to what she has to say. Yeah. Let her be able to be that sounding board, and try to understand, like you did, Joe, when Natalie had that moment and it hit you, how upsetting it was to her. You finally had that aha moment, whereas you understood exactly what she was going through. Because for men, it takes us a minute to get to that point where someone is hurting about having a child, because oftentimes the woman won't tell the spouse early when she's trying to have a baby, when she starts to feel pressure. She won't say anything to him. It'll be normal life. So by the time she finally opens up about it, she's been stressing about it for the past 6-7 months. So you often have that discussion or that argument about what you think is for us. For men, we think it's that moment now, but nah, it's something that happened, been building up for the past 7 to 8 months. So for guys, just stand, be there, try to understand. And also for the couples who are out there who are trying to achieve, or the LGBT community, I understand. I've been doing this for 30 years. I understand. There's nothing that I have not been on my plate that I have not seen before. So I wish you all well, and I'll be more than happy to help out any way that I can, just provide my knowledge, or just to help out any way I can for those who are trying to family building. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. Even when I cut off today and we end our show, I need you all to just stay on just for a few moments. But I want to thank you so much for being transparent, for sharing your story, and for sharing your expertise today. There's so many people, and this is just the beginning of the conversation. We hope to be able to have more conversations about this topic. And Brother Smalls has agreed to join me again and even bring some of the doctors that he works with to be able to come on and have another dialogue so that we're able to talk about fibroids, so that we're also able to talk about all of the other things, low sperm count, and just, even how the things that we do, women, when it comes to taking care of our menstrual cycles, tampons, and all those things, how those things impact and affect us moving forward. And so we want to educate, we want to empower and emancipate our brothers and our sisters in our community. And we want us to all be able to live liberated lives, to be free from the things that have us bound, to be free from the social norms, and be able to stand boldly in our own shoes, in our own skin, and be happy, proud, and grateful for another day just to live. So to those of you that are watching today, we just want to say thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday. Head on over to YouTube, click the subscribe, check out some of our other shows. Go ahead over to Instagram, follow the Liberty Life page. Go ahead, click on the link that's right there in the bio and purchase your tea and your candles, and get ready for some great things that are in store for you as we go into the summer months. We thank you so much for watching. And as I always say, live a liberated life. God bless you and thank you.